All righty.
Okay. I guess I'm the host tonight. Cordy, I know, is running off to Phoenix, and God knows where Warren is. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's town hall. We have a lot to celebrate tonight, including the fact it's Veterans Day, and I want to thank everyone out there who served, who knows someone who served, who supported someone that served, and I don't want it to get lost. This is really a week of celebration, not only for our country, in spite of how the elections went, for the recall, taking back California. It's very important. As you know, we won a 120-day extension, which gives us to March 17th. And this week, what we want to do is not only celebrate our extension, but celebrate everybody behind the scenes, or some of the folks behind the scenes who drive the recall. We're all volunteers here, and we thought it's a good chance for us to take a breath, get caught up with what we're doing going forward, etc. The gentleman, I'm going to start with the gentleman you see on microphone here, and I'm just waiting to see if Mr. Cordy has come in yet, but it doesn't appear he has. The gentleman you see on microphone is the guy that makes it work every week. Every time you ask for data, every time something goes up or down on the website, it's Dan, who looks like he's out of an old Robin Williams movie at this point. But Dan, say a few words, tell him what you do, and give him a little bit of the background, if you will. And don't do Good Morning Vietnam, please.
Good. Okay. Anyway, thanks, Mike. My name is Dan Cioni, and I am the technologist behind the scenes. We kind of got together on this recall probably before February. We learned a lot of the last recall and decided that it wasn't going to make it. So we decided we could do better. And lo and behold, we're definitely way past where these other two recalls were. But I think the key thing that I attribute to a lot of that too is technology. And I know I'm patting myself a little bit on the back there, but I think that we've done a lot better job. Website, the town halls, the requesting of data, and all the way that things are set up, and the way that Susan and Robbins and Christine's will talk about how the counties are broke up and the state is broke up. I think we've just done a really good job. And so I'm just kind of the guy behind the blue curtain. So first of all, I just wanted to thank
Red Curtain Day.
That's a different story. First of all, I really want to thank all of you guys out there, the boots on the ground. There's thousands of people out there every day. I get hundreds of emails a day to info, not just from our volunteer staff, but just from people that find out about us. And, you know, all of our volunteers are out there really working hard. I know everybody's getting burnt out. Trust me, I'm on about day almost 200 now on recalls, but we're almost there. And if we just pull this together for a couple more months, I know that we can get this done. So anyway, that's my story. I have another meeting I do need to get to before I wanted to throw that up there. I forgot to do that. Oh, yeah. So there's my email if you want to get a hold of me. And I will turn it back to Mike.
Dan, thank you very much. And I'm happy to turn it over to the Megaphone Marine, who was one heck of a soldier, but apparently can't get his panelist link correct. Just busting your chops. Cordy, to you, who was supposed to do the opening salvo. But again, as we may have heard, thank you for your service, and thank you for being a veteran on this special Veterans Day.
Well, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that, Mike, and certainly appreciate what everybody, their service to the cause in this state amidst all the turning purple and more regulations, and now Ticketmaster's coming out with mandatory vaccinations, and you know, it's very fascinating what the world has come to. But congrats to everybody out there, because the happy thing is that we got an extension on this thing, and you guys busted your tails, all you powers that be and amazing people that run this thing. So I would just say thank you to you guys for your service to this state and this nation, because we all know he's going to run for president in 2024. So I think that's the positive news. But I just had a couple of quick things that I wanted to say, and then I was going to bust off and let you guys have it. Lot of positive things happening, guys. Just stay the course. What I always tell people to do when there's a lot of adversity is lean in and dive in to what you can do to change things. Because sitting around and belly aching at home and feeling sorry for yourself and saying the world sucks, is a strategy, probably not a winning one, but it certainly is a strategy. And so I would just encourage everybody out there to take that frustration, take that irritation, and use it as fuel to get more signatures, get guys like this creep that runs our state out of office, use it to, I'm driving to Phoenix tonight for a rally about this whole election fraud scam. And then I'm going to be on a plane to DC on a red eye Friday night. So what I would say is, and I don't have an unlimited amount of money, I'm not sitting around here driving a Ferrari, is the point of me telling you that is to say that, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for your family? What are you going to do for the state? What are you willing to do to get this governor out of office? And, this was a gift from Jesus, a gift from God, whatever your spiritual preference is. Maybe it's a chakra or a shaman or whatever. But this was a gift. And I think with that gift, comes a responsibility of all of us to really do what we need to do to grow this mission. So that's what I would say to our viewers. Thank you to everybody here, because you guys are like in the trenches every day, and I'm not. I'm doing something different. I'm helping with the recall, but not to the extent that you guys are. And so I'm just grateful as a father that Oren and Robin and Christine and Susan and Mike, that you guys are out there crushing it and kicking butt and taking names. So on that note, I'm going to shut up and turn it over and probably leave. So I got to drive to Phoenix. But happy Veterans Day to everybody, and thank you for everybody's support. God bless you guys.
Thank you very much, Cordy. And tonight, like I mentioned, we're doing something a little bit special, a little bit more informational than we normally do. The good news is you'll get a chance to talk to a lot of the people in an open exchange who actually run a lot of the recall behind the scenes. And again, I want to stress, we've been open, we're transparent. We've got a lot of good things going here. Do recognize that taking back California again is the first step we need in taking back the country. We've won 4 congressional seats. We've done a lot of good things. Not everything turns out the way we wanted to, but as far as we're concerned, the extension is really big news. I'm going to kind of start in order of appearance that they appear on my screen, not in order of importance, if you will. You now know Dan's one of the technical people behind the scenes. I want to jump to Christine, who's going to give you a little bit of her background, what she does for the recall. Everybody's role is important. And we're always asked all these questions all the time about how does this work and what the organization is. I'm going to let Christine tell you why she's here, what she does for the recall, and try to shut up as much as possible, which, as everybody knows, is really hard for me to do. With that, take it away, Christine.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a good time tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Sacramento, still live in Sacramento, love California. I'm a California native. I'm one of 4 generations living in California right now, and I'm fighting for my state. I'm tired of people telling me that I should just move out of my state. I'm tired of the oppression. I'm tired of the apathy, and that's why I'm here fighting. So last year, I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary of losing my livelihood thanks to Gavin Newsom personally screwing 1 million Californians with AB5. So I'm a victim of AB5. So I've channeled that energy into helping with the recall. So my role has been basically getting the petition itself approved with Oren at the Secretary of State's, getting all those forms you need, those instruction sheets, those, things that help you get it done and get the information to you. And then since the recall has initiated, I have been running the mailroom. So I get the mail from the PO box 6 days a week. There's a large amount of mail coming in. We're getting about 15,000 signatures or so a week in the mail. So we process that. I have a lovely group of volunteers that are absolutely fantastic and are dedicated. They show up several times a week to help with that. And hey, we just passed out 16 boxes off to get verified. So that was about 75,000 signatures out the door. So it's a lot of moving parts to keep everybody, you know, caught up with this huge amount of paper that we deal with. It's kind of overwhelming, but we have a great handle on it. We have great ideas. We're trying to touch base with all those people that maybe signed a petition that was filled out improperly. So that's a huge task as well, returning petitions to those people that need to be signed. So that's something I'm busy with. But one thing I really enjoy is working on the California Patriot Coalition Facebook page. So I do a lot of posting on that and just try to rally the troops and keep everybody positive. We've all got to stay positive. Look, we've made, you know, 750,000 signatures of almost, we're approaching somewhere around there. And, you know, we did that through COVID, through fires, through, you know, Gavin, through everything, riots, our city's burning. We still prevailed, and we need to look at this as a success and moving forward to just keep that train going, that we can do this because we can. That's me over here running the mailroom.
Christine, before we go on to the next person, I want to really sink in. I always try to get my head around it. Frankly, I'm one of those people who gets annoyed if I get 6 pieces of mail from Geico each week. How many pieces of mail do you get a week?
We get about 3,000 pieces of mail a week right now.
Okay, so let that sink in. What Christine and her team is doing, again, is all volunteers. 3,000 pieces of mail that have to be opened, right?
Yes.
Pulled out, processed, and then wrapped up and sent to be verified. I want that to really sink in how much work Christine and her team puts in addition to doing all the other things that you do. I mean, it's really
all
hard for me.
volunteers, you know,
Yep.
and the people are dedicated. They, you know, not everybody can work in a booth doing recalling. Some people are not people-y people, you know, or they don't feel comfortable asking somebody to sign. So I try to find people's strengths and delegate to them these tasks, and they have been fantastic, and I appreciate them so much.
Thank you very, very much.
We're ready to double the mail whenever you people are ready to send this in. So
And
just
doubling it's
keep it
about what
coming, 'cause we can handle it. We are a tough crowd.
they are a tough crowd. Don't go up there unsupervised. We're going to get to everybody's questions here, a little bit more time, the questions tonight, but I want to make sure that we get through all the major people besides Oren and myself, which hear from all the time, that actually are the brains behind the recall. And with that, actually, I'm going to jump to Robin. No, I'm going to jump to Susan. Sorry, Robin, we've seen you before on the show, and there's Susan's smiling face. So let's jump to Susan. Susan, most people who are volunteers hear from you all the time, but again, there's about 10,000 people a week that watch us on the various entities we have who probably don't quite know what function you perform. So tell us about yourself, tell us why you're involved, and tell us what you do.
My name is Susan Hurd. I am the state administrator for Recall Gavin 2020. I started this journey during the last recall as a Facebook admin for the Nevada County group because I live in Nevada County. Soon after, I became the state admin for the Recall Gavin 2020 movement. Quite a jump in responsibilities. I am responsible for recruiting the regional management team, Facebook admins, and along with Robin McCray and the regional managers, our county coordinators. I'm also responsible for the Facebook groups and reviewing and improving statewide events. Let me tell you, being responsible for all of these county groups is quite the job. I'm literally on there for hours a day. Being a state admin is a full-time job. My poor husband, on one hand, he never sees me. I'm always in the office. On the other hand, I'm proud of what you're doing to save our state. So it's kind of a back and forth thing. Anyway, it's a full-time job, from calling and emailing volunteers to joining and posting in every conservative group I could find in the state of California, as well as the responsibilities mentioned earlier. This is a massive statewide effort, and it can be very trying at times to keep it moving in the right direction without distractions. We literally have thousands of volunteers. Think of it this way. It's like being an HR manager of a large corporation. When all my job life, I've been a paralegal in law firm. I was never responsible for other employees. Anyway, we're not employees. We are all volunteers. We are sacrificing our time. I've had to do conflict resolution, problem solving, coordination of events. I work with a lot of different people, and it can be quite challenging at time, but on the other hand, it can be quite a lot of fun. Our team has worked very hard these last 5 months, and we desperately need new volunteers to step in. Some of our volunteers have not only worked all of these last 5 months, but on the previous recall as well. I mean, some of these people have basically donated their whole lives to getting our state back out of Newsom's hands. It's a surprising, I haven't seen more divorces, but I haven't heard of any yet. Knock on wood, thank God. This words from our lead proponent, Orrin Heatley. This is an uplifting journey, a ray of hope in the political despair that we're in right now. This journey can only be successful through the help of volunteers and donations. We won our court case and we gained an extra 120 days, but in order to be truly successful, we also need donations. Those billboards, news, we can't get news. They're all liberal. We can get radio. We can get on the radio, but that takes money. It took money to hire the attorney to get the extension. It takes money. Everything we do, all those lawn signs that we passed out, printing the petitions, we have literally spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So we have 120 more days. We need funds to come in again. Despite all the work my job entails, I have to admit that it has been very rewarding. And I'm honored to be a part of the Recall Gavin 2020 group movement. It's not a campaign, it's a movement. I have personally developed many friendships along the way, some of which I know will be lifelong, like Robin McCrae. My buddy, we work together very well, as I do with a lot of people, a lot of our volunteers, all of our management team. I honestly have to say, I hope we win this. I hope we can get rid of Newsom once and for all and take back our state and make it the state that we used to have, and even more so. But I value the friendships I've made along the way. Thank you is all I can say to all the volunteers, all the donors. Thank you for everything that you have contributed to this recall movement.
And Susan, before we go to Robin, I'm trying to put everything in perspective so everybody understands the volume of what we're accomplishing, because we do tend to look at total signatures. You and Robin, on each of your Tuesday calls, would you say about how many people that you're managing? Give me a number. 150?
If you think about the volunteers, the regional managers, the APs, we have the executive team. We have regional managers for every county. Some counties have 4 regional managers. Well, wait, we have them in zones, so that's not quite true. The APs we must have, and that's short for county coordinator, authorized personnel. They're the ones that are authorized to take the signed petitions into the registrar voter's office. there's got to be a couple hundred of those, Robin.
Right.
Okay, so
Think
let's
about
want to put that in perspective a little bit. Just as we talked about, everybody gets a little bit of mail at their house, and Christine handles 3,000 pieces a week. When I was in the corporate world, I was taught by corporate structure that it's not wise to have more than 8, at the most 10 direct reports. Think about the volume that Robin and Susan handle of conflict resolution, if you will, that they're doing every week with the resources that we have in the recall. So about 200 people rolling to thousands of people that we're all doing a mission together as volunteers. And again, I want to thank each of you for your service and kind of put in perspective how amazing the numbers are. Yes, Robin, you'll get a chance to speak. Never, don't keep talking.
You know, it really is amazing. We have so many people that we're working with. Generally, if we've lost someone, generally it's because they've put so much time and energy into the recall movement, doing petition signings and such, that they just can't do it anymore. But I have to say, on a wide scale, we haven't lost that many compared to how many we have. But again, those people are getting burned out. We need more volunteers. And a volunteer can be anything from setting up a petition signing table, and they don't have to do it alone. We'll help them, to making phone calls, to adminning our Facebook pages, to recruiting volunteers. There's a lot of opportunities to become involved in the movement. If anybody wants to volunteer, they should reach out to me or Robin. I can put in the chat my email, but it's susan.recallgavin2020@gmail.com. And you can find any of us here on our website.
And by the way, I want to add something you put up this week that we're going to talk about what they're doing going forward. There's a link for everybody, and please broadcast the link if you want to volunteer. Okay, it's easy to sign up to volunteer, and this isn't for everybody on this call, but if you're watching this or know somebody that says, I'd like to get involved, but I don't know how, it's easy. Send them the link that's on our website. To volunteer is pretty easy. We're a pretty vast organization. We're just showing you the top tier of people that in effect are organizing this tonight. Okay, but understand, it's easy to volunteer. It's not hard to do. And if any of you have ever been in sales, this is the easiest sale we've ever had. Just mention Gavin Newsom and the pen comes out.
That's right.
Okay. Next up, what I'd like to introduce, which you already know because she's been on a few of our town halls, is the fabulous Robin.
Thank you, Mike.
Tell them a little bit about your background, what you do, and let's talk about the signature count, since you're one of the keepers of the spreadsheet, if you will.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of dating myself here, but I started back in politics. I first got involved in 72, of all things, on the Nixon campaign. And if anyone wants a Nixon Now button, I have a whole bag of them. But I went from there into the state legislature. And the reason I started with that is I needed a job. And someone offered that to me, which took me into the state legislature, working for Assemblyman Bagley out of Marin County. And it was quite an eye-opener coming out of Susanville as a country girl, riding my horse to school up until 8th grade, to a one-room schoolhouse through 5th grade. And it was a real eye-opener for me. But I had the privilege of back then working with so many people on both sides of the parties. I was fortunate enough to see the day that when Republicans and Assemblymen, or Republicans and Democrats, they may have stood for different beliefs back in the day, but after they got out of session or committee, they all got together after work and joked and laughed. And here I was, 19. They took me everywhere as, I don't even know what, the little kid they were watching after, down to Frank Fats, and it was an eye-opener for me. It was back in the day where the Teamsters literally carried handfuls of cash around to buy votes. And that was one of the most upsetting things to me ever. But that was sort of my door into politics. And through that, I got involved in several campaigns, realized the importance of being involved, taking a stand, having an interest, and gaining knowledge about who you were voting for, why you were voting for them, and what they stood for. And see what's happened over the last 40 years has really been upsetting. No longer do the parties get along. It's become a battle. It's not working together. It's working against one another and one-upping one another. And just seeing what's happened in California the last 20 years is unbelievable to me. So when I retired in December of 19, I had time on my hands, and that's when I got involved with the Aaron Cruz recall. I couldn't find a place anywhere in Butte. No one was signing petitions. And so I thought, I can do this. I can go get signatures. And through that, I met Orrin. So that's how I got involved in this recall. And it's taken on a life of its own. I've become even more dedicated to the reason to recall with watching what Gavin Newsom is doing to our state, to people losing their jobs, their businesses, and more importantly, I think at this point, what it's doing to our youth. There's so many children and teenagers at vulnerable parts and ages in their life, and they're out of school, they're not having, social interaction. I read a post today that was so upsetting, saying that in light of Newsom's mandates and people being home, there were, since August, 93 5150 calls and 5 suicides. And these are of children. So when I asked myself, why am I doing this? And am I tired? I always fall back on 2 sayings that keep me going through thick and thin. And that's when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And the second one, I don't remember who said that, but the second one is by Zig Ziglar. Don't stare up the steps, step up the stairs. And those are 2 things that I try to live by when people are saying you're working too hard, you're working harder now than when you retired, and you're so stressed. Well, it can be stressful, but it's worth it. And we can all do anything for 6 months or 10 months. So we all need to push through another 120 days and get this job done. Part of what I do is help Susan. She and I are such a team. When one's down, we pump the other one up, and vice versa. We encourage one another, and we depend on one another when we need a break. But like she said, we are dealing with thousands of people. I start getting emails, texts, Facebook messages at 6 in the morning up till 11 o'clock at night. And we respond to those people the best we can. We're troubleshooting, we're answering basic questions. You name it. It could be about a petition. It could be about the challenges people run into when they pick up petitions from permanent signing locations, that something's been done and they're not sure if it's something that's going to pass and be accepted by the county. So we do a lot of troubleshooting and trying to help people through some of the obstacles they run into during the course of a day in working on this recall. Every week I ask Dan, it's less now, but originally every week we downloaded from our website people that signed up to volunteer. We've had over 5,000, I believe, people sign up. It's interesting, when I get those lists, I sort the Excel sheet by county, and then I attach one of the 7 zones to it and split it out. And then we separate it by city, zone, and county and send it to our regional managers to try to replenish their volunteer force. And the other thing I do is try to oversee and manage our budget. Basically what that means is keeping Orrin and Mike and the whole team apprised of donations that come in and the expenses that are being incurred, and juggling and prioritizing what we can afford to pay with a budget that's not quite reaching the demand of our obligations. So let's see, I think that's about it. It's just an ongoing job, it's a daily job, and it's a commitment we've made to try to make this state a better place. We like to say, make it golden again, and we need to get rid of this governor. I think more than anything, as bad as he is, and we all say, well, we can correct this, or we don't, but a lot of people say, we can correct this. What's the worst case? In 2 years, you know, we vote him out. The worst case is the fact that he is planning to run for president. And we need to make a statement to the rest of the country that if typically liberal California recalled him or made a good faith effort and obtained more signatures than any other volunteer force in history to recall this man from destroying our state, he certainly isn't a viable candidate to be president of the United States. So no matter what happens in the next few weeks, months, I think everyone has to keep that in the back of their mind, that we need to make a statement loud and clear in California that he is not a candidate for president that should be even considered. And last thing Mike asked me to do was give a count of where we are signature wise. We have a young man that worked for us, and he called in the help of a good friend of his who developed 58 spreadsheets where each week our county authorized personnel, in some counties they have more than one, depending on how large the county is, they enter in the number of petitions they have in their hands and the number of signatures that equate to. And every week, those are entered into spreadsheets, as well as Christine's mailroom count. All of those 58 spreadsheets tie in to one master spreadsheet. Pretty complex formulas were set up to develop this spreadsheet. I happened to notice this morning, after getting pretty excited yesterday, thinking, how did that happen? We were up to 760,000 signatures. This morning, what I do is I transfer every day, sometimes a couple times a day, everything from our built-in master spreadsheet to my own master spreadsheet, because the one thing our master spreadsheet doesn't do is track the county counts. And all of our regional managers contact me on a regular basis to say, Robin, what's our county count? How many do we have in Shasta County? How many do we have in LA County? So I developed my own spreadsheet that keeps a count of each county's count, since our master sheet doesn't do that. Well, after yesterday reporting on our call that we have every Tuesday night with regional managers and APs, we were excited to report we had about 760,000 signatures. This morning when I was transferring the numbers, I noticed there were 44,000 signatures in one county, and I had to shake my head knowing that wasn't possible. Sometime between then and this afternoon, I believe someone must have figured out they entered a typo. So with that correction, we're easily at 720,000 signatures. And we know we have signatures that were just brought up from down south by Orrin. So there's thousands in there that have not yet been counted. I know I have probably 500 to 1,000 sitting in my house. I haven't had time to separate and count, but it varies. I would say we're between 720 and 750 right now easily. But that's the other thing I do, is try to monitor and track the statewide count. So that's about it. That's all I can think of, Mike.
Okay, and understand when Robin is the official count, because we get this question continuously. So we have about how many we have in hand is different from the number in the funnel. So by the funnel, I mean, I don't know how many calls the whole team gets weekly. It's like, I got $2,000 in my trunk. I got a guy with 7,000. So we do an estimate off that. Those aren't in our official count. So realistically, a way to look at this today, optimistically, and I'm being realistic and optimistic, is we're about half of the official total there with 120 days to go, which really starts in 6 more days. So for all the people out there, and I'm sorry to say this, Robin, but many of them were probably with you in the Nixon years, like, we got Nixon elected. You guys can't do this. Ray Davis, that took 900,000. We could barely pull that off. You can't do it without a ton of paid petitioners and a lot of money. And maybe they're right, but maybe they're wrong. Understand where we're at today factually. We've got another 120 days in a state which has been suppressed, and we're almost halfway there. Let that sink in, everybody. Now, I'm going to put you on in a second, but I want to update a couple of things, and I'm doing this on purpose, not that Orrin ever takes too much time. Hi, Orrin, you do look spiffy in your tie and you dressed up. We'll get you on the air. Because Orrin is really the man who doesn't get enough credit for this, because I refuse to give him a lot of credit, quite honestly. But he's the guy that put this entire thing together. And everybody you see and all the structure and everything else was put together by Orrin. But because we try to stay in time constraints, I want to talk about some things we're doing going forward that Orrin will get to too. We're trying to do radio. We need $5,000 to $10,000 to do radio. We found a way that we can do it fairly inexpensively, we believe, where we could buy a lot of time. We're trying to gather money for paid petitioners. It's expensive, and if we have to go there, we're going to, and build a structure to do that. We're trying to work on sending out even more emails across the state, because the number of people that I hear every day why we need to do this. And I was at a veterans thing today, and the people were like, there's a recall going on, and these are good patriots. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I knew there was a veterans thing going on. It's simply getting the word out. So everybody, all 144 people on this call, and the 10,000 that are watching it, and somebody had a good point. We know all of you, if you can get your friends, everybody to donate a little money, that's great. We need the money. We need donations. We certainly do. But also, please tell everybody you know. Everywhere you go, every time you talk about something, you see someone with a mask on and someone complains about COVID, tell them about it. That's what radio advertising does. Word of mouth is still the most powerful thing. And with that, Orrin, I'm going to turn a little bit over to you. You look serious tonight, Orrin, but you do look spiffy. I got to hand it to you, right? And Orrin is probably the hardest working man in the recall business, so he likes to believe. He does drive the big yellow truck, kind of like the big yellow taxi out of Joni Mitchell, which every time I'm in it with them, I think they're honking at me. They're probably honking at the truck, but you do see Orrin at the wheel. Orrin, tell us a little bit about what we've got moving forward, how you put this team together. And we all know you're a retired sheriff, Orrin, you can skip that part of the story, but do tell us what we have to look forward to in the upcoming 124 days that we have left.
Well, I know, you know what, I'd like to say that, thank you everybody for everything that you've done. And folks, the team that you just heard from are incredibly talented and skilled individuals, from their personal and their professional lives, their education, their background. They were handpicked for their roles in this recall. I'd like to take the credit for bringing them on board, but I really have to just step back and I realize, it's them that came forward, and either through divine intervention or their own accord, they're on the team, and they know their role is significant and important, and they're part and parcel, doing something very monumental and historic. And we are going to help Gavin Newsom make history. He's going to be the third governor in United States history to be recalled. And the courts, have done something which is really, significant. They set precedents this last week by granting us the injunctive relief that we requested through extending the recall, the petition for us. You know, we were confident that that was going to happen. And like has been discussed, we spent, you know, we depleted a lot of our funds to fight that battle, but it was absolutely money well spent. And it went to a good cause because it continues to provide us the opportunity in California to come together, pull our resources, and get this done. Every one of these folks that are on the panel tonight, you know, the one thing they didn't mention was they said they work long hours, but that's an understatement. I can either I'll answer the phone from them late at night, or I'll pick up the phone and make a call when something's of an urgent matter and needs to be dealt with. And it's not unusual that we'll be on the phone well after 11, 12, 1 in the morning on occasions, getting this done behind the scenes. So there is a lot going on, you know, behind the scenes, and it's not just at the state level. This is the state team, but it's also the same thing can be said of the county levels, your county administrators, your regional managers. You know, they try and deal with a lot of what's going on throughout the state. We have close to over 250,000 members on our 75 groups, which Susan and Robin alluded to managing. And that is no small feat, either on the county level or on the state level. And everybody up and down the state, from the boots on the ground volunteer to the state team, need to be commended for what you've done. Just, I'd like to say you work tirelessly, but I know that it takes a toll. It has taken a toll on everybody. It's, you know, a great sacrifice that everybody's made. And, you know, they've given up their family time and their personal time. And these folks, some of them, I know this team, but some of them are working, you know, 10, 14-hour days getting this done, getting the word out, spreading the word. And, you know, it's just been a really rewarding venture, something that, you know, you don't understand the magnitude of, you know, what is being undertaken until you realize the massive amount of people and the energy behind the movement that's being created with this recall. It's a wonderful thing. What Mike said was absolutely correct. And I just want to reinforce that, folks. You can, for $5,000, you can sponsor 2 weeks worth of radio spots on very popular radio shows like John and Ken, Armstrong and Getty, up and down the state. You know, there's a lot of popular radio spots that, you know, we'd like to get out there and have it done. Fortunately, right now, we have to wait until additional funds come in order to be able to secure those spots. But, you know, the sooner we can get that done, the better. We have until March 17th to turn everything into the registrar's office. That means we want everything in hand by March 10th. And that gives us some time to process the paperwork and then return it back to the counties where they have to be turned into the registrar's office. We don't have to take that entire time. Okay, we can get this done in a month. Now, I know there are people out there with greater resources than I have, and this team has, you know, the means and the ability and the management structure, the network to pull this off. But when it comes down to, you know, getting it done, the resources that are needed the most are funds. And there's, you know, different levels of funding for this recall. Sending out texts and emails. Sending out emails is probably one of the least expensive. Social media blasts, that's, you know, inexpensive. We try and optimize our social media presence. Facebook has been very successful to shadow ban us. Our membership on the home group has basically went, you know, it was skyrocketing and then boom, just plateaued, just cut off at the knees, and the new membership has decreased. And that's not because people don't want to join. That's because they're shadow banning us, and we're not the first thing that pops up when somebody searches recall Gavin Newsom on Facebook. So you have social media, you have emails, you have texts that we can send out, you have mailers that we've done, you have radio ads we've done, that we could do TV ads, there's billboards, there's a lot of different things that we need resources to be able to utilize as far as getting the word out to the masses, the people, the people that don't know this recall is going on right now. And, it's really important that we get those funds in as quick as we can so that we can get this over and done with and start the process to remove him from office as quickly as we can. Back to you, Mike. Oh, by the way, hey, Mike, who takes over for Gavin Newsom if he's recalled?
Thought it was you, Warren.
Who do we support?
We support virtually nobody. Our mission is to get Gavin out of office. And Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine, Mickey Mouse, since he's not working right now, I'm not sure there could be a worse choice for the governor of California. And really, it's interesting watching the conversation tonight. How are we doing this? What are we doing, etc. It is amazing to me, and I think for all of us that have been around, how bad a governor Gavin really is. And I want to really sit back and let that sink in for a second. I get asked all the time, it's like, well, what are the reasons for recall? I'm like, I can't even tell you. Everybody's got their own. He literally, and I've said this a million times, has united the state. You know why we're all working so hard? It's not because of Orrin. Sorry to break this to you, Orrin. It's Gavin Newsom. Who else could get me to put in 12-hour days for free? Seriously. Who else could get us to put our sweat and tears to go out there when it's rainy, when it's cold, when it's 100 degrees, to talk to strangers, to collect on street corners, to do this all for free? I got to tell you, the only guy I can think of is Gavin Newsom. Who else after an election where we've watched TV all week long, we've had highs, we've had lows, we've had sweeps, could get us to continue to fight for our state and our families this hard? Only Gavin Newsom. And so understand what we have today is so amazing, because it is, again, for everybody out there to absorb this. This is so much different than Gray Davis. I'm going to go 2 minutes over time because I hear that all the time. Wow, Gray Davis. Let me tell you something. Gray Davis in 2003 had nowhere near the amount of registered voters that we have today. Correct me if I'm wrong, Orrin, or don't make me look good. It took about 900,000 signatures. Is that about correct, or how much? Right? So
three attempts.
3 attempts. 3 attempts to 900,000 signatures, and a certain gentleman donated multi-million dollars to get it done. Today, we need 1.5 million signatures, which means we really need about 1.8, or twice the amount that we did just 17 years ago.
Minus the 750 we have.
Minus the 750 we have, correct, which we're pushing 800. And let this sink in for a second. Back in the day, because I hear that all the time, that's why I talk like a pirate, the Gray Davis cost $3.25 acquisition cost per signature. In today's dollars, my friends, that would mean it will cost us $8 million to recall the governor of California. We don't have that kind of money. But thanks to Gavin Newsom and his ineptitude, his lack of leadership and what he's doing to us, we're doing it for 89 cents a signature. Now think about what Gavin is driving us to do to make our state survive. We are doing it for literally less than 25 cents on the dollar because we have to. Can we continue this way? We don't know. We do need donations. But I got to tell you, if you look at the people who are sacrificing, and you out there too, sacrificing tonight, every ounce that we have to get this person out of office, and I use the term person lightly, get this governor out of office, really think about it. We can get this done with volunteers. We need donations. Moving forward, we're going for paid petitioners. If we can afford it, if we can't, say la vie. We need to have radio. I hope we can afford it. We're going to move forward, we think, on that. The floor recognizes the dude from Sacramento.
I
Are you just
appreciate that.
waving? Okay.
Yeah, no, there is a point that I wanted to make as far as, you know, what you're talking about and going forward, you know, those are the two most popular questions that we have, you know, who replaces them, what happens after the recall, blah, blah, blah. All that information can be found on our website. You can donate on our website. But the third most popular question is, what makes this recall effort different than all of the rest that's going to make it a success? And my answer has always been uniform. It's the leadership, the structure, the management, the network that we have in place, and it's this incredible team. When it comes down to it, this team has gelled. It's come together. We're very unified. We work as one. It's an incredible team, all the way from the ground up, from the county levels all the way up to the state team, and everybody's just really unified and driven towards this one goal, and that's to remove Gavin Newsom from office. RecallGavin2020.com.
And I want to end on this note on Veterans Day here, okay? I have the honor every year of going to, that's where the little flags come from, of a field of valor near my house. It's very touching. It's a flag is bought for everybody who was a veteran and has passed on. There are thousands of flags out there. And there was a gentleman came up today, you'll see him on my Facebook post if you're looking, that was wearing, he served a lot. Let's just put it that way. Let me tell you something out there. For all of you that are tired out there, some days like we get, for all of you some days that go, I don't know if I continue on with this, let me tell you something. Don't give up the fight. Those people, each of those flags, those thousands of flags, and there's thousands of more of them on this Veterans Day, remember, they fought for our freedom. They fought for our rights to be able to speak freely. They fought for our rights to be the United States of America. And I don't know about anybody on this call, but I know about everybody on my panel, is there's no one, including Gavin Newsom, that is going to take that away from us. God bless everybody out there. God bless the veterans. God bless us on Veterans Day. And let's do what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yes. Recall
Thank you.
strong.
Recall strong. RecallGavin2020.com. We're going to get this done. Thank you and good night.
Send in the mail.